Here with me now is New York Times Magazine Chief National Correspondent Mark Leibovich, CBS News Senior Political Editor Steve Chaggaris, and USA Today Senior Politics Reporter Heidi Przybyla. All right, Heidi, let's start with you. What should be the strategy for the Trump campaign moving forward now?
Boy, if I could get inside Donald Trump's head and say that he is actually going to follow the strategy of his strategists, I might be able to answer that question. I think the people who are very steeped in politics and who are trying to guide him are telling him you have to show total contrition, you have to be humble, you have to apologize directly to Nancy O'Dell by name. And even then, you might just be kind of stemming the losses. But it's unclear whether that is going to be the approach that Donald Trump adopts, particularly anybody who's been monitoring his Twitter feed today. He began by going right to the mat with the Clintons on, the old 90s sex scandals and retweeting stuff from Juanita Broaddrick and Paula Jones. And so it's pretty unclear that that's going to be his opening play. And even if he does once again apologize, if he immediately pivots to kind of gutter politics, I just don't know that that's going to do what needs to be done tonight in terms of rescuing him from this controversy.
What do you think about that, Stephen? We should mention before you answer to our viewers that picture was Donald Trump doing his walkthrough earlier this afternoon. Steve, what do you think about that?
Well, the thing about Trump is his negatives haven't changed throughout this general election. The negatives they've just been magnified by this latest episode, right? His negatives are he's doing terribly among women voters, he's doing terribly among college-educated voters. People think that he doesn't have the temperament to be president, and so these problems they've gotten worse basically over the last week because of what's happened. So what's his strategy going in? His strategy is to deal with those issues. How is he going to appeal to women? How is he going to tell Americans that he's ready to be president of the United States, that he has the right temperament? That was his problem going into the first debate. He was unable to deal with that, and now it's just magnified even more, so it makes it even harder for him tonight.
Do you think, Mark, that there's a chance he could turn things around, though, with this debate?
I suppose it's possible. I mean, he seems like he's in a bit of a deep hole here. I mean, I think the question of what his strategists are telling him begs the question of, does he even have any strategists left? I mean, it seems like there are a lot of people who are just, they don't seem that interested in trying to be heard, trying to make themselves heard to him anymore. But yeah, I suppose it's possible for him to do this great sort of contrition rap, followed by an incredible command of the issues that just stuns everyone that he has not shown to this point. I don't see it happening, but I think that that's sort of what he needs to do. I mean, as Steve said, I mean, his negatives have been high. I mean, he has not really cracked the threshold of 40% barely at all. And I mean, what we're seeing in some of the early polling after Friday is not so much, a cascade of which he's losing support, but, he's obviously not gaining, and he's obviously, he's going to lose a little bit. And he also he's not going to get help with undecideds, which is what has moved the race in Hillary Clinton's direction over the last few weeks.
Yeah, if you look at the map, even before this tape came out, the estimates were that he would have to take all of the toss-up states plus turn one of the blue states, namely Pennsylvania, red. Where is he right now in Pennsylvania? Down about 9 points. And the trend line in all of those toss-up, not all of them, but most of them, the trend line is away from him and towards Hillary Clinton. So that was the math before the tape. And I don't think there's anybody at this table here who thinks that the tape helped him with that trend line.
Do you think that, Steve, Governor Mike Pence can help Donald Trump's running mate? He abruptly canceled that campaign event that was scheduled to take place in Wisconsin. Is there anything that a running mate can do in a situation like this?
This is a strange year, and history hasn't always been a great guide to what has been happening this year. But this is about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. It's not about Tim Kaine and Mike Pence. And so, we were at that vice presidential debate, and people said that Pence, did fine and probably did better than Tim Kaine, at least in terms of style points. But that didn't have any kind of effect on the polls, and it probably won't. Again, people aren't going to be voting for Mike Pence. They're going to be voting for Donald Trump. I think even more so, this is a year where it's about the top of the ticket and less about the vice presidential candidate. So I think there's very little he can do in terms of helping him in the polls. I do think, again, which is I think one of the reasons why Pence is on the ticket, is he can help calm Republicans down maybe a little bit. He can help keep evangelicals energized. but that's on the margins. I don't think overall he can have much help.
So, Mark, what about the Clinton strategy here? We've talked about the Trump campaign, but is there a risk that, for instance, some are saying that perhaps she might overplay her hand, and there's a danger in that as well?
I think they're aware of that. I think they're fully aware of that. I think, she has basically has not said a word except for a brief statement, the last few days. I mean, I think they've been pretty deft in staying out of the way while this implosion plays out fully on the other side. I think what Robbie said on Face the Nation is probably instructive in that they're probably going to say, we want to talk about the issues. She's obviously equipped to talk about that. I think she would like to sort of bring it to a place that's as removed as possible from what she has to weigh in on this. I'm also sure she's pretty well prepared to take whatever questions about Bill that comes up in the 90s because it's clear that there's a very good possibility that Trump is going to bring that up, or at least some of the questioners will.
Part of their strategy has been to not step on the eruption that's going on within the Republican Party, to just stay quiet throughout the day, let the other Republicans condemn him. But part of it is also that Hillary Clinton didn't want her words to come out in response to this until she had maximum effect, and until they could have maximum effect, that she would do this. Even we're hearing from campaign officials at the beginning of the debate, if not in her opening remarks, when you have the most eyeballs on her. And given what's happened over the past 48 hours, we didn't think that the networks could top their viewing audience for the first debate, but now many people are thinking, well, maybe we're going to see a repeat here. And that is the time when I think that may be the exception, where she does come out with her first response to these comments. And I think it will be biting, and I think we're going to see something similar to what she did in her convention and what she did in the last debate, which is she takes a real person and she elevates them as a symbol for how Donald Trump's rhetoric or actions have hurt real people. And I think in this case it'll be Nancy O'Dell.
All right, Heidi Przybyla, Steve Chaggaris, and Mark Leibovich, thank you all so very much.